Doug Wilkinson invented winning. And here at Oklahoma, we uphold the standard. This is the Champion Standard Podcast, where analytics meet film and the tailgate fuels the passion. Touchdown! From deep dives in the film room to advanced stats that tell the real story. Right. We bring Sooner football into focus like never before. The roar of the palace on the prairie, the legacy of champions, and the pursuit of the next one. It's all right here. So lock in, because this is Oklahoma football. This is the Champion Standard.
Let's go! Let's go! Go!
Hey everyone, thanks for joining us again today. Got some technical difficulties going on. Got a power outage here, so I don't have the normal surroundings. So having to do the phone thing. I always wanted to try the phone thing, so here we are.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah. So Rob and I back today. We're going to have a little bit of a John Mateer debate, discussion, whatever you want to call it, kind of pros and cons, however you want to look at that here in a little bit. Talk about Porter staying another year, pro day results, and maybe our weekly spring sports update up next.
That's my standard. That's my standard. My champion standard. Champion standard. Pull away the answers. Yeah, the answers. The champion standard. Champion standard. Yeah.
Man, all those high winds knocking people's power out. I was looking at the outage map. It was like 11,000 or so. We've got it. Let's see.
Still hovering there? Yeah.
It's at 7,800. So they're getting it back in.
Yeah.
Norman has got quite a few.
Yeah, I lost power about 1:30, so I've been without it for about 3 hours, and estimated restoration's about 10 p.m. right now. So after I lost it, I went and grabbed some lunch and went down to the corner, started approaching the corner, and I'm like, uh-oh, I think I see the problem. So four poles snapped. Transformer busted open. Yeah, transformer busted open. PCB chemical was just kind of spilling there, on the side of the road. And so fire trucks and everything already kind of had the intersection blocked down there. But found the source of my problem at my house anyway.
Well, you're not alone. And it's high winds are dangerous, man. It's super dangerous. We track the fire, the fire warnings and all that, but just straight wind knocking shit down. Trampolines. I hope everyone that owns a trampoline. I drove to the local grocery store to grab some supplies, and I came back and there was a trampoline that was like in one of those like drainage ditches. It just went right into it, and so make sure your trampolines are nailed in good.
Yeah.
I know when I had one when I was a kid, my dad got those nails for railroad ties.
Yeah,
there was and you just locked it down.
Now I had some straps and some corkscrew things that I turned into the ground. I had that on 3 different sides, and I had mine where it wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah.
But we all learned how to tighten our trampolines down over the years for sure.
Yep.
But no, kind of busy weekend OU sports wise. Yeah, I know the baseball team still playing right now. Last I checked, it was 8-6 OU over A&M in the 6th inning. So if they can hang on to that, they can win in 2 out of 3 in their first conference series. OU women's softball swept the Tigers. Thank goodness for offense, because their pitching still looking a little rough at times, giving up a lot of home runs, and just not used to that from our pitching staff over the years. And so they still have a ways to come with their pitching, but man, they can hit with anybody.
They can.
On track to break their own home run record and everything else. So hopefully they can. That'll be how they have to win most of their games, I think, this year. So OU women's basketball get to host the first couple of games of the tournament, which is great. So Jenny's got them playing well right now, and they're a top 4 seed and get to play their first 2 home games at home. So that'll be great for them. Kind of the big news of the weekend, Porter Mosier staying another year. I don't know, I didn't see that coming. You know how I've been the last few weeks. My percentage has been pretty low on them bringing him back. 25, 30%, whatever, but they made a run this week, and they may have came up one game short of getting themselves into the tournament. If they would have beaten Arkansas yesterday, they might have snuck in. I feel like they're on the outside looking in. And I guess we'll know here in about 30, 45 minutes, something like that.
Right. Yeah. 30 minutes.
But new AD Denny. Sounds like he's given Mosier, all his support this coming year, and going to see what they can do to figure it out. Maybe more NIL, whatever they can do to help that program. So we've talked about it. A lot of people like Porter. Seems like a good guy. Just hadn't been able to get over the hump from. Could you call it mediocrity? Is that fair?
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. So hopefully they can turn it around and, get OU back in national spotlight next year and beyond.
Yeah. How's the recruiting class for Porter? Does that kick off here soon?
Yeah. So we only have like one commit for this upcoming year. I forget the basketball cycle, but we only have one guy committed right now. Feels like Porter loses like 4 or 5 guys to the portal every year. That's why they named Portal Mosier for a reason. But I think we're losing 3 or 4 guys just from graduation. So I have no idea what they're going to do as far as, hit the portal again or whatever. But hopefully the new AD and him can figure out a new route to go to, bring in some higher level talent, and we can see where that takes us.
Yeah.
Pro day results. I don't have a lot of notes here in front of me, and I feel like I'm flying blind on this little phone and no computer. I'm out of my element, man. I don't like it. I like my pod room.
Well, it was cool to see all the guys come together. It was really cool to see all the former players come in, show their support, take it all in, have opportunities to talk to you have Bradford talking to the different guys, and you seeing Jason Witten out there. That was cool. I mean, I just, everyone working together, trying to get these, we had 14 players, I think, participate.
That sounds right. Yep.
Yeah. And I thought they all did really well. I thought Mateer looked different throwing the football. We'll get, maybe we'll see some more of that come with spring, but, from the combine to the pro day, you've got Deion Burks, who did well, very good. With, the shuttle at 4.1, really solid. Bench at 26 reps. That's all real good. I thought Kendall Daniels did pretty good too. Grayson Halton got up. Well, you kind of talked about the pro day last week or 2 weeks ago, but I think you've got a lot of good guys that are going to put themselves in the best spot that they possibly could. I think one guy that is going to go probably in that day 2 high, day 3 range is Weewoo. I think Fabechi Weewoo, available for 2 years, former all-conference player at North Texas. He was one of our better players. I thought he had a solid pro day. I think he's gonna go pretty well, kind of in that high third round pick, 4th round pick, somewhere around there. But But yeah, I mean, I think we're doing solid, man. I think we're gonna have a really, really, really good OU draft here soon. That with a 10-win season, and then probably I'm gonna guess we have 8 guys get drafted.
It's got. I've seen anywhere from 7 to 9. A 9 would be pushing it. But yeah, you already mentioned a couple of guys. I remember Charlie's notes from a couple of days ago over on TFB. There was, the way I look at these pro days and the combine is, sometimes that's for the fringe guys. There's other guys that that may already get drafted on day 1, day 2, but these guys that are day 3 or could be undrafted free agents, these pro days can really help them out a lot. Yep. And Charlie mentioned Wee-Woo, which you've already mentioned. He also mentioned Canick and Marvin Jones helping themselves this past week. Yep. And, those were some of the guys that were probably going to be drafted a little lower down. So I hope they do get about eight drafted. I think would be, really good, just to keep that momentum going. Because let's face it, we got as much momentum going right now as anybody. So,
yeah, and I would say that even if a guy doesn't get drafted, being that undrafted free agent, one of the perks. I mean, would you rather be a 7th round pick, or would you rather get to choose where you go?
Right.
And that's kind of where Canick and Marvin Jones Jr. kind of say, yes, you want to be drafted. Yes, you want to get your name called, be the top 256 or 255 or whatever it is. But the bright side is, if you do go undrafted, you can always go through what offenses fit me, what defense fits me, where's the depth chart at on some of these teams. And so like you can be like, okay, I'm Canick. I'm kind of a 1-year wonder. I only played 1 solid year tight end. Maybe it's better for him to kind of get to choose where he gets to go and go, pick a team, a NFL team that's struggling at the tight end spot and go in there. And the other thing was about Canick, he could play special teams. He's a tight end, but he can, he's that's another thing. These like 7th round choice undrafted free agents being able to pick where they go. They have to be versatile. There's only 53 spots. When it comes to camp time, there's only really like 7 or 8 spots that are open on the entire team. You get to those final 2, they're really looking for special teams players. Canick has, with his speed, he's played defense, he's played offense. He's gonna be a sneaky camp ad for a team. So I'm kind of curious where he ends up, because I think he can do a little bit of everything for you for one of those like 3rd, 4th string players, So
yeah. No, I think just keep his story going. That'd be awesome if he could make it in the league as a tight end after starting out like he did. And
I know
that'd be awesome. Yeah, he's definitely one of the more versatile, athletic guys at that position. He just lacks the size and blocking ability. So, yeah. But there's, like you said, there's roles for guys like that in the league. So, hopefully he finds his place.
The other one I'm watching is Kendall Daniels. Like I'm really intrigued because he was perfect, the absolute perfect cheetah for Brent. I'm really hoping that he being able to showcase his versatility on the field, if he can get himself a defense, because he's kind of that positionless defensive player where the NFL and college game has been moving to, where you've got positionless players that you just get your athletes on the field. And he is a dude that is a supreme athlete. That is a kind of a player that you would probably see Kendall Daniels in this next draft go like somewhere between 4th and 7th or 5th and 6th. But if you were to be in a future draft, like 5 years from now or 10 years from now, he's probably like a 1st or 2nd round pick. Right. Because the defense, everything about the NFL is trying to get as many athletes, positionless athletes that can do a little bit of everything and not have these pigeonhole players. I think Kendall Daniels is like a little bit ahead of his time. And I'm really interested to see where he ends up what DC ends up getting the hands on him and being able to use him.
Yeah. If you see something pop up in the comments, I can't read them on my phone, so just let me know when we can stop and and answer any questions that come up. So, it's funny you mentioned Sam Bradford. Did you hear the story the other day? He showed up at the facility on pro day, and was walking in and didn't have credentials on. And someone asked the security guy about it, and he's like, "Yeah, he's got a trophy, so I think that's good enough to get in the building."
Yeah, it's like
that trophy over there, that's a little better than some credentials in my book. So I thought that was funny. But it's good to hear Sam around the university. I haven't heard his name much, the last few years, and getting him back in the fold would be nice. And I think it's all hands on deck, when it comes to maybe John Mateer's development. So if you have a guy like Bradford in the building, I'll take it. If he sees something and can provide a little more advice, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about Mateer here in a few minutes, but the more the merrier. I think he just, he could use all the, I don't know if there's such thing as too much advice. He's not a true freshman, but just some little things here and there.
You're talking about having the luxury and the privilege of having all these Heisman Trophy winning quarterbacks in the last 15 years. Getting them all in the building at different opportune times to have some time with Mateer to, shape his psychology a little bit, shape his approach to the game, and just, get him to, mature, I guess is a word, but just that's always going to be a good thing. So yeah, and Sam's a pretty quiet, private guy, so it's just cool to see him back in the building, and I hope he had a real good chance to talk to Mateer and Arbuckle and all them.
Yeah, I would have. I can't remember another era. I remember the Bradford era, and I felt like, wasn't that kind of the video game scoring points era that we had? We'd score 35 by half, and it was crazy. That still bothers me that, that championship game. We didn't have Murray, correct?
No, we didn't have Murray, and we didn't have our center. So we had a center that was banged up or missed the game. I forgot his name. Cooper. I think Cooper was out.
Oh, okay. John Cooper.
And then DeMarco was out. That was a rough game. But Florida, they had some dudes, man. They had some dudes. It wasn't their defense was great. That was the year of obviously Tebow, but the Pouncey brothers. Remember the Pouncey? They had both the brothers for them on the line. Long NFL careers for both of them. That was a great game. But yeah, we were on the short with Bradford was hurt too, right? Bradford he was
banged up. Yep.
Yeah. It was everyone that would touch the ball in the backfield from center to quarterback to running back were all hurt, and DeMarco was out. So it was just it's tough, and we've been unlucky with that. Jason White got a shoulder. It's just like, can we just get? And that was just like, can we get into the game healthy? Can we get in the? And then it turned from that narrative of can we get to the championship game healthy and just have a healthy team to can we get a defense? Now it's rotated to can we get an offense?
No, the stars don't seem to align, do they?
We will wait. It's on its way.
Yeah, I know.
We're aligning it. This defense is special. We've got a great defense. We've got an offensive line they're young guys from last year. They're going to grow up fast. Fasusi and Foji are going to be stellar. They're going to be stellar.
Yep.
And you got a solid receiving core. I won't say that it's like X factor. Something.
Yeah, we can't do that again, Rob.
Well, I know. That's kind of an inside joke between the two of us. I don't know if some of the people that watch back, but like our first season
Mm-hmm,
going into off season, we were going into with the receiving core with Aaron Anderson. We had
not Aaron.
Farouk.
Not Aaron.
No, sorry,
Nick.
not Aaron. Nick, yeah. So Nick,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
Nick Anderson. Yeah, Nick Anderson. You had Anthony Andrell, right? Andrell Anthony.
Yep.
Jaleel Farouk,
Yep.
which was one of my favorite receivers was Farouk. And then you had Deion Burks. So you had like these 4 guys going in the offseason and they just all imploded. But we were talking about Top Gun. We
jinxed them, man.
I think we did. We went hard in that
We
episode
jinxed
too.
them.
We had Deion Burks tape and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
But I mean, this receiving core with Livingston and Harris and Satana, this could be a solid, and then you're gonna end up having at least a competent, passing eligible at tight end. You're gonna have a solid O line. It's gonna be the question, and the question of the show is can John Mateer unlock the potential of this team to win a championship? Because if I look at it and I'm like, they didn't really go real hard at bringing in receivers. They were really comfortable with, hey, I'm going to take, for whatever reason, Texas was like, yeah, we didn't evaluate Livingston as someone that we wanted to keep. And I'm got a good deal for him. And then you go to Virginia, you got a 1,000-yard receiver, and the ACC, kind of Terrell Harris, who's a very versatile guy, very similar to Sectana, and they went and got him. They could have easily gone out and overpaid for a true freshman, the Gross kid, right? What was his? How do you say his name? Damian from the Dallas Fort Worth area.
Oh, no, that's Devian Gross. Yeah, that sounds right.
Dude got some money, got paid. Didn't go there. Didn't go after Cam Coleman. Didn't go over. They could have. They wanted to. I believe they could have, but they decided not to, and they went and got a linebacker, Cole Sullivan. They made other choices. I look at it as they are banking on John Mateer elevating those around him.
Right.
Because if you didn't think he can, if you looked at him as a player and said, I don't know if he's going to be able to elevate, you'd have to go get a Cam Coleman or a really ground like the Longhorns did. I think the Longhorns looked at Arch Manning and was like, we have to give him players because he's not very good. Like we have to throw, because everyone's got limited dollars. Some have a little bit more than others, but for the most part, we believe that OU's up in the top 5, top 8 in spending on their players. I think they looked at Mateer and they said, we think he's going to elevate. We're going to bring these two. We got some really good, solid options at receiver. Let's go put some money on defense too. And that's how I kind of perceive, their movements and the player personnel. Do I have that wrong?
No, that's fair. And an emphasis on the run game. I don't think we can sit here and ignore either. It's all encompassing. So it's all about improving the offense. So if you can improve the run game, improve the offensive line, Mateer makes the adjustments and things that he needs to make and get better. It all comes together. Receiving core, we've talked about it. There's, the starting 3 and then the depth of that room is plenty good enough. And that's all you're asking, is just to have guys that can make plays when you get them the ball, and they have that. So it's not, you don't have a bunch of Cam Colemans running around back there or anything like that, but you got, that tier below that and plenty of that. So I think they've made the offseason moves to put themselves in position on the offense. We got a question here.
Yeah. So question is, need a run game, kind of segueing off what you just said, but how many rush yards or how many yards per game? Only 4 playoff teams were in the top 50 in rushing yards per game.
Huh. Yeah. I think it's always a luxury if you can have a good running attack. And so only four teams in the playoffs at a top. That's interesting. So if we can get that, it's just one of those things. Fourth quarter rolls around. If you can turn it over and have a good rushing attack and can milk clock and do whatever, it'll win you a lot of football games, especially if you're ahead. But we'll see. That'll have to turn around significantly. I know we got a new running backs coach, and so offense was the focus in the offseason. Defense, you just want to keep the continuity, but offense, they got to turn the page and turn it quickly. So
for me on the run game part, I think it would be nice. We got to have a bell cow. Okay, let's find the hot hand and feed him. And I think Coach McCullough's going to do exactly that. Whether it's Torrey or if it's X-Rob, he'll sort them out. And let's be consistent on giving the hot hand the work. The second part I would like to see next year is John Mateer's run usage early in games to be pushed to later in games and let the bell cow work. Let John Mateer's legs become the X factor at the end of the game's ice defense. Because we're going to end up, again, I don't think that our defense is going to be as good as it was last year. I think in this coming season, we're going to have to be more balanced on who's going to finish the game. And for like 4 or 5 straight games at the end of the year, the defense went and iced it. I don't think we're going to be able to. I think we're going to want to be comfortable with our offense going in and finishing the game and taking the win. We want our offense to be able to go out there, 4 minutes left in the game, 6 minutes left in the game. It doesn't matter. If they need to get it done, they get it done. That we didn't see any of that last year.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the best things to do is have your bell cow take in the yards, chew out the defense. I would love to see X-Rob do it just because of his body frame.
Right.
You're sitting there as a linebacker trying to butt heads with him for 20 carries and 3 quarters, and then your offense, you're churning your success down the field. What ends up happening? Defenses forget, this 200-pound quarterback that can run through me too. And you can see, you start, punching it in at the end zone. You get in the red zone, punch it in, ice the game, over. We want to see, that's what I want to see in the run game is bell cow running back.
Right.
And then late game X factor, my quarterback can run to and finish.
Yeah.
So if that ends up being 150, 175, 200, I don't care. But that if we're going to be successful at a baseline, I think 100 yards by your bell cow back every week would be stellar.
Mm-hmm.
If you got 100 yards from your number one running back over and over and over again, that would be awesome. I don't even know how many times we eclipse 100 yards, but
running backs, not many at all, just a handful that I remember
real quick.
Yeah.
It was frustrating because you got into some games where the running back didn't even get a carry until the 4th drive. It was the 4th drive. You would go would, it would be quarterback, and then it's we handed the ball off. Great. And it was. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. And, that running game comes into play when you're, ahead a lot in games. Even when you're behind, you can sometimes lean on that, but you need to have both. We didn't have a, phenomenal passing attack to be able to come back in games. And so we had to be, ahead or close to, stand a chance, or we couldn't come back with our passing attack last year. So hopefully we can get that rolling a little bit. Yeah, I don't think
he said Sugoy. So I don't know how to say that. 7 teams were in the top 50.
Okay.
No, you're fine. Bad stat. It 7. That's what I felt like. I will say that I do know is that Indiana, Notre Dame, Miami were 3 of and Missouri were the top 4 teams in the country running wide zone.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of crazy to see Indiana and Miami both in the national championship with their offensive lines running a scheme that we were absolutely horrible in. We were terrible at wide zone. It was awful. So that is something that Kevin Wilson, Coach McCullough, and Witten, all very familiar. Arbuckle himself. If there's going to be something where we get into next year and actually see something different, something I was excited about last summer, double yo-yo, pistol wide zone. I want to see it like 5 to 8 times a game because I love it. It's so much fun.
Yeah.
I know there's a few high school teams here in the state of Oklahoma that run it. The Lincoln Christian up at Tulsa, who I think they're a 3A team. They run that. Very good for them. They've won several state championships out there. So yeah, run game, it's gonna be different. But I think as far as like the growth of this team to get to a championship is gonna go through Mateer.
Sure. Yep.
Decision making, his arm, can he elevate those around him?
Yeah. I think
so let's go through your questions.
That's a good segue. We need to, we named this, can John Mateer, lead the team this year or whatever. I can't see the full title there. So last year I was probably, I don't know if uber critical is fair of Mateer at times, and maybe unfairly so with his his hand injury, but I was always trying to focus on the non-hand related types of things. That's obviously going to affect you, throwing deep balls, just passing in general. It's going to affect your actual passes. Don't get me wrong. I was more concerned about some of the intangibles that we're seeing last year. And so, I've got about 4 or 5 things here, and I don't want to sound like I'm piling on and negative Nancy. John's great. He's a leader, great runner. Certainly someone you want to have in your huddle that can, if you need a couple of yards on the goal line late in the game, you can have him just take over and run it in. He did that many times last year. It's just that the passing aspect, where his game can go to another level, that I feel like is somewhat lacking. So I don't know. I'll just, I have a few things here. I'll name these off. Be glad for you to, rebuttal or whatever you want to call it. We've talked about the mechanics, and that's anything from his footing to his release, which we know he's been working on that in the off season. So that's one of the things that, I had listed here, but I feel like that's something that can be improved. And there was some video of him the other day in practice that I saw, throwing to some of the receivers there at Pro Day. I feel like he's good with the short and intermediate, but I still think he's a below average deep ball passer. You agree with that?
I've seen flashes, man. I've seen flashes of brilliance. It's inconsistent, sure, but there's been some plays, and I'll pull a couple of them up that just they blow my mind. And then you look at some of these plays, and you're like, where the hell is that quarterback? Like where? And then because there are plays where he will look off. And I've got like 4 or 5 plays where it's the inconsistency shows up, and it kind of, and that I think he has like the arm to do it. I think it's more mental. I think it's more the processing speed needs to be warp speed, and then it's the confidence of actually ripping it. And you can see from like the first 4 games where he's ripping it downfield, and then 4 or 5 games later he's tucking it and trying to run it. So it's got to be a consistent, and that's what good quarterbacks are. Not throwing a cape on your back and trying to be a football player and try to play hero ball.
Yeah,
but to try to be a quarterback. You're a quarterback. You throw the ball.
Yeah, no, you're right. And that's another thing, I had listed here is the pocket presence, composure, and you said it, kind of the lack of confidence at times, the ability to just let it rip, and let it rip in a good way. not just sling it out there, and hope, 50-50, my guy's going to get it kind of thing, throw it the best place you can. So, one thing, I was looking at his stats, just his passing stats only last year. This, of course, doesn't factor in any of his rushing touchdowns or anything like that. And yes, his release did look better in Pro Day. I saw that comment come up. 10 touchdowns, 9 interceptions in conference play plus Michigan.
Say that again?
10 touchdowns, 9 interceptions in conference play plus Michigan last year.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yes, the hand was a factor, but missed opportunities. You mentioned it earlier, just his ability to go through his progressions, his reads, and his checkdowns just has to infinitely get better.
Mm-hmm.
We saw it. We would watch film on Sundays, and you did your trench warfare with JY and Alex, just missing wide open guys, checkdowns. Take the 10-yarder. Don't have to go for the 25-yarder that's totally guarded down the field. Just all that needs to come together this year, just to be able to move this team down the field with more efficiency. So that showed up a lot.
And Brad, he really has no choice. Like, he has to. Like that.
Yep.
He has no choice. Like, this is 5 years. All right. 5 years he's been in this offense. Not He might be playing for us for 2. He might have been with Arbuckle for 1 or for 3 going in this. He's been in this philosophy, in this language, since he's gotten out of high school. So this is his 5th year of playing ball. He has no choice to get better. I believe he's going to get better, and I think he's going to be top 4 quarterback in the country, top 5.
Yeah,
we'll get into the summer when I'll have a baseline.
I gotta respectfully disagree with top 4 in the country, dude. That's making a monumental leap from last year.
Who are the other top 4?
Well, I don't.
Give me top 4 or 5.
I don't know all the quarterbacks. I can't. You're saying he's going to be pushing for Heisman. That's what you're saying by that statement.
Oh, absolutely, because he was pushing for Heisman in the first 4 weeks.
Can we?
Before he broke his hand,
it's not absolutely, man.
He was on Heisman watch, and before he broke his hand, he was literally on Heisman watch.
He had a couple of.
It is completely doable.
He had a couple of rum-dums that he played up before that Texas game. So
Michigan and Auburn both were good wins.
Yeah, they were good wins.
He threw 3 picks in those first 4 games, but one of them was definitely not his fault. Burks was in the wrong spot, completely screwed his quarterback.
Yep.
He was on. In the first 4 weeks, he was on pace for 3,700 yards and 18 touchdowns.
Right.
That's pretty good. And then another 15 on the ground
because
he had 5 rushing. Like, he was going to have 33 total touchdowns and about 8 to 9 turnovers. That's an insight to New York.
He had moved up to 3rd, 4th, 5th in the Heisman odds before he got hurt. Was doing well.
And then he comes back.
It snowballed.
Practice.
He hurt his hand. It affected everything else. It did.
Right. But I think it's completely possible for him to get an invite to New York.
I'm good with I'm good with possible, just not absolutely that he's like going to be Heisman front runner. I'm not there yet. And mine goes back to this. I haven't seen enough evidence of productive passing plays in conference play, and the Michigan game. If you bundle all those together, I just haven't seen enough evidence, video evidence, plays, whatever, in the passing game to just all of a sudden say, yep, he's going to New York. He's going to be a top 3-4 quarterback in the SEC. I can't get there just yet. And that's just me.
Stevie
No
says,
matter how much convincing you give me. So
Stevie says run game's going to help. Yeah, run game and offensive line growth will have tremendous help. Cohesion and synergy amongst the offensive coaches, and we don't have dead weight sitting there. We all know who we're talking about, and actually have coaches that are here to coach and they know what they're doing. That's going to be huge. I think this spring, I think the greatest improvement is going to be amongst the coaches and Mateer, obviously, but the coaches on the offensive side of the ball are going to end up their communication, the coordination of the plan for season. All of that is going to be so much better than it was the last few years without having the dead weight that we're on. You know, Kevin Wilson, McCall, we worked together. And Wilson's been here for a whole nother year. Arbuckle and Mateer, they've been together for a really long time. Your quarterback is a 5th-year senior that's been in the same system for 5 years. You know, you've had guys like, this air raid, these no-name dudes like, you know, I mean, I guess they're names now, but like, you know, Kingsbury at quarterback. Solid guy, but from Kingsbury to Graham Harrell to, you know, there's all these air raid quarterbacks. Like, who was the quarterback that from Texas Tech that beat us at home? Texas Tech came in, we had a game delay, and Texas Tech beat us at home, beat Bob Stoops at home.
I don't remember.
One of 3 losses, and that quarterback was average. But I mean, I forgot his name.
I can't. There's been so many of those guys. I can't remember their names either.
Right. But. How about Gardner Minshew?
Right.
Okay. There's all these quarterbacks. I guarantee you, every last one of the quarterbacks I just mentioned, and a lot of these quarterbacks would give up their left arm to have John Mateer's right arm.
Right.
Because a dude can sling it.
Yeah.
And it's here. It's here. You know, he's got the bulldozing.
That's my concern. That's my concern. I've told you it's the mental processing that's been my biggest concern. I tried to make my concerns non-hand related, because that yes, anybody that breaks their freaking hand is going to have issue throwing the football. So it was I always try to stay away from the physical part of that and focus on the mental processing.
Yeah.
You know, just totally missing guys, throwing a pass to a guy going down the sidelines and you throw it right to the defender, you know, just throwing the defender into the play, just little things like that. You changed our setting there, so you threw me off. I don't know what's going on. Okay, you're pulling up a play. Very good.
Yeah. Well, just, you know, we're kind of talking about it, so I'm like, well,
yeah.
Let's get into it. But no, you like, so this I just picked, dude, I didn't spend a whole lot of time on getting this set up. I just wanted to pick a few plays where it's like, oh, John Mateer, you know, before the season and John Mateer after the season. So, I mean, this is Michigan. I mean, this is a crazy throw. He is ripping that thing. Like, that has to be on a rope. If that corner decides to sink, you know, doesn't take the, or if the safety gets, okay, that's a great throw, and he gets hit at the same time. That's a tough thing. Okay, very, very similar. Go to LSU, pretty much the same play.
Yeah,
and this one drove me crazy.
Yep.
He's looking right there. This is a play that we went on trench warfare. There he is. He's wide open.
Yep.
He's looking to his flat route here. He sees the flat, and he sees cloud coverage, and you got the corner that's going to take 2 out. And Mateer goes, nope, I can't throw that. And then he looks back over the middle. There's nobody here, but he's got a guy wide open.
Yeah.
It's this Michigan to this. I mean, if he just stayed on it, he's got the arm strength to rip that play right there.
Yeah.
So that's the inconsistency part that we were talking about.
Right.
Is that he can make that throw. He's done it. But in this particular play, he didn't. And I will tell you, like, I'm very pro Mateer, obviously, but last year there was one play that absolutely drove me crazy. This is the play this one, there was a few, but this is the one that I'm like, okay, you have to. So this is Ole Miss. We're down 12 points. It's second quarter. You got 38 seconds. We got to move the ball. We get into it. We're running a swing screen. You're going to get a running back screen. Offensive line is cut blocking, and you got a one-step slant. He can peek, and then he needs to throw this thing. What he does this instead, where he decides to look that way, and then he's killed the play. And he had number block. He's going to have an alley. You're going to have a running back on a safety, which you take every single time. And again, the offensive line's cut blocking. He has to get this ball out now. There's only two options. Your running back and your receiver. Once he sees his DN drop to the flat, that slant gone. You don't throw it. This is a designed swing screen that he did not throw. And instead scrambles and then chucks it. And by then, oh, look at that. The play's dead.
Yeah.
I saw that and I was like, dude, okay. He needs, like, at this point, through Ole Miss, and we've already gone through the Texas game. South Carolina, he was okay. But in this situation, he's literally was not playing within the structure of the play. And I was like, okay, you need to take him out. Like, get him out. Talk to him, settle down. If I call a screen, run the damn screen. Like, Whit Neubauer could have thrown that pass. So that is my con, but I am saying that it's because of the hand. He's hurt. He's playing through pain, and he's out of his element. That's what I because you look at like here, I got a great play. So a good play from last year. I love this play. I've shown it on pod several times. When I saw this play in film, I just watched it like 30 times because I couldn't believe what's going on. So, in this game, in this moment, they need to score just to stay alive, to even be competitive. He's been sacked, Brad, like 7 times already. He's been sacked 7 times. Look at this throw. Do you remember this play, by the way?
I remember looking at these before Mateer got on campus because you had several of these that we looked at. Yep.
Threads the knee. That is, 40 yards downfield from the hash. Like, that is, and look at his feet. Look how calm he is. Look where the ball is. Look, ball close to his chest. Feet are not moving. He's staying square. He's been sacked 7 times. Everything's square. Eyes downfield. Throws this, rips it right there. Like, what? Crazy throw. That is a Sunday throw. 100%. There's quarterbacks on Sunday that can't throw that ball.
Yeah. No one questions his arm strength. That's for sure.
And then going to the bad. This on Trench Warfare with JY and Alex, we were like, why did he not hand the ball off? He's got numbers. You've got numbers in the run game to the left. Like, why are we taking the throw to the boundary?
Yeah.
Boom. There's your hole. You're going to end up having that, and then you're going to have boom, X'd out, back would have hit up the hole. Instead, he took the boundary throw out route, and you got a DN that's sinking to the flat. That play's dead. You defense is basically taking a 1-2 bracket on anything to the out route right there. As soon as he sees that, he should be handing it off. He sees this guy turn his hips. He should be giving this ball. And we complained about that on Trench Warfare. We're like, what is he doing the RPO stuff? But at the same time, RPO game, I like RPOs. I love RPOs. But you have to run the football. And if your backs are not getting it, defense is not going to care. Like you got to get a player in conflict. You have to put a player in conflict, and we struggle with that.
Yeah.
I don't think I have anything left. Those are pretty much the ones I wanted to vent about.
Yeah. No, those are, yeah, you showed the good and bad. And, I remember this one. I was sitting in the end zone watching this one. Great pass here. Yep.
On a dime. I mean, again, before he got hurt, after he got hurt. Yeah. It's decision making. This is another great one. This was an awesome one. Little vert. It's good. It's just, post wheel. They're trying to get. We're running all these vert outs, and so where you turn an out route and you turn it into a wheel, and he sinks this right in the hole.
Right.
That is a hell of a throw.
Yep.
But again, the consistency here. Sorry.
Yeah. One thing you and I definitely agree on is the inconsistency, and hopefully that, changes this coming season. But
I know Satana dropped it there, but that was a good throw.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's watch this one. I don't know. I think this came later, but look, dude, he's a bulldozer, man. Like
no.
Yeah, he's
no one. No. Yeah. There's not anyone else in the country I would want running the football at quarterback than him. Just, he's got that, dog mentality when he's got the ball in his hands. He's an extra running back. So, yeah. And you mentioned it. The beauty of this is Brent every year identifies the problems and addresses them. He took over the defense this coming year because he knew that was the best thing for the team. You got your data here. I don't want to interrupt you.
No, go for
it. So, Brent, I mentioned his interview last weekend, had some comments from that, but he knows the offense, needs to do a 180 compared to last year. So what did he do? So, Kevin Wilson's got a little more involved role, I guess you could say. Is that the right way to put that for this coming year?
Yeah, I think it was definitely strategic to actually put like offense in his title, because just to be like, hey, you're gonna be focused over there.
So
we talked about last offseason, how the defensive staff was overloaded with coaches, and they had like a +2 coach advantage on the defensive side of the ball. Right. It makes sense to repurpose some people and like reorg people to make sure that they have as many eyeballs on the offense as the defense.
So it's threefold. You got, and Stevie just mentioned it there too. So Kevin Wilson more involved on offense, bringing in Jason Witten, fully engaged. Hall of Famer tight end will have no problem, being a tight ends coach. I know there's some people who are like a little concerned about that, but I don't care. And then bringing in McCullough, who, quite honestly, as far as like a coach and another offensive coach, not just a running back coach in the room, is like ideal for this team right now. And you already mentioned the connection with Wilson and McCullough. So, Venables has made the hires and brought in the guys from the portal on the offense, whether it's receivers, a couple more running backs. They got Hatton to recommit. The offensive line gets another year under their belt. Things look good for the offense. And we keep putting all the pressure here on Mateer, but that's where it lies at this point, because you've made the necessary changes to help him be successful. Now it's on him. And that's why we're talking about this today.
Yeah. All right. So what I got here in front of us is efficiency in passing and the usage rate of passing. So looking at how often does a quarterback have to step back and drop back, and looking at their efficiency while doing so. And I also have the weeks embedded into it, so we can look at the first 4 weeks, and then we can look at the back half of the year.
Yep.
And I mean, I'll turn it to you, Brad. I don't really. I mean, I knew our volume trap is considered his in order to produce the level of efficiency, he has to drop back a lot more. If you look at like Austin Simmons, where in the first 4 weeks of there, where he basically came into mop up duty for Ole Miss, and then of course Trinidad, and then we got Diago and Ty Simpson kind of in the elite territory. I have this sorted on SEC, by the way, so we'll be tracking next season. We'll be tracking like his week comparison on how efficient he is, how often does he drop backing, how often does he drop back. So there's another good look at it. Again, he's a volume guy. We're asking him to drop back many times in the game. And if he's getting that 35 plus drop backs, but he's only really, his efficiency is around that 0.4. He's kind of, it's kind of mediocre. I mean, you've got, Arch Manning out here who is less dropbacks, about 10 less per game in the first 4 weeks with even less efficiency. So I don't know. We'll be tracking this later. I just wanted to kind of show it because even, comparing it from the first 4 weeks to the last weeks, it was about the same. He's averaging 30 to 35 dropbacks and his efficiency was pretty much the same.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't help my case, but
yeah, no, and I'm not here dogging on Mateer. It's not that. Like, I'm an OU fan. Of course I want him to succeed next year. I want him to make this jump into whatever Heisman territory that you talk about, but and I hope that's the case, but there's a lot of changes that had to be made.
And you look at some of these offenses that were really good, like Ole Miss, they are getting max production out of their quarterback with less dropbacks. So they are what this PPA is. How can we score efficiently? It's about scoring efficiently. If you have less dropbacks and you are having a high EPA, that means you're doing this, like this quadrant says, you're doing more with less.
Right.
And if you're in the elite,
ultra efficient. Yeah.
Yeah. And in the elite category, like Ty Simpson, he got a crazy amount of dropbacks, and his efficiency to scoring was incredibly high. So he kind of sat there at the top of the conference as far as doing that quote unquote elite territory.
Right.
But you got, quarterbacks out here like DJ Lagway, not so good. Arch Manning. There's your Jackson Arnold. And then Zach Calzada for Kentucky. Lenore Sellers, room to grow, kind of on that, again, he doesn't drop back very often, but then he wasn't really efficiently pushing the ball to go score. But we'll have this next year. I set this up actually yesterday for this conversation just to kind of show it, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I love all the improvements you made to the website and all the stuff that's kind of instantaneous almost.
Yeah, I'm hoping to kind of just streamline it because Power BI was slowing me down.
Mm-hmm.
So here is another kind of cool look. If we wanted to look at passing efficiency by week. So I accidentally got Alabama over here on the right. That's our playoff game. I need to move that over here.
Yep.
Just imagine that we start the season here at the Illinois State, Michigan, Temple, Auburn,
level off, and
then Texas,
and then roller coaster,
and a roller coaster down.
Yep.
Yes, and that technically, Texas you kind of have to X that out, right?
Yep.
Because he didn't practice.
He had half a hand.
He had half a hand. And if you look at this roller coaster, and if you can imagine Alabama is right here, it's literally going up and then down and then up and then down and then up and then down. And I'm banking on him elevating the players around him, and you're going to have more of like a steady pace through the season with maybe a spike or two versus some of the rum drums.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, consistency. That's what we keep going back to that, right? Hey, you're muted. Sorry.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't know what you just said there, but I think it was nice. Yeah, so we're talking about Mateer. I still say the jury's still out on Arbuckle too. 1 year out of the Pac-12, whatever that was when he left, and coming to the SEC. Do you consider Arbuckle's first season last year in the SEC a success? You can look at record, and we both know that's defense.
Yeah, I get what you're but success, I mean, you kind of have to look at Arbuckle and Mateer as they're kind of tied together.
Package. Yep.
Yeah. I mean, OC, play caller, and quarterback. I think both success and failure runs through both of them,
right?
Especially when they've been together for so long. So do I say the jury's still out of Arbuckle? I mean, yes, just like the jury's still out on Mateer, and my thinking is they're going to tear it up next year, because some of the things that Arbuckle kind of ran into, though. No, okay, his quarterback broke his hand. Got it, whatever.
Right.
But I put myself in his shoes. You get to OU, and for 8 months, all you are told is that the defense is amazing, which it is. And I guarantee you he saw issues on the offense, but kind of was just like, well, I am going up against that rotation at interior defensive line, R. Mason Thomas. And, there's all these, the defense is just loaded with talent. And like, you're just thinking, okay, well, we're not going to be playing that defense every week.
Sure.
And you get into the season, and your tight ends, you learn, okay, they are not blocking, because whatever they do on the field, they're doing in practice too. So your tight ends really can't block. I can't run wide zone at all. And that's like my bread and butter play from last year. And my quarterback broke his hand. So, and then you look at your receiving group, and you got Kanik, that's really kind of a one-trick pony, run upfield really fast. And then you've got an outside receiver who might be 6'4" or whatever, how tall Jaden Gibson was, but he played soft. You're lucky you found Sigtegna to get you some of the biggest plays. I mean, he almost cracked 1,000 yards, but really it came down to like 5 to 6 plays from Sigtegna alone, where he just housed it from 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 yards from downfield on these little short intermediate routes.
Right.
I just think, yes, jury's still out on both of them, but I think after this 5th year for Mateer and a solid receiving core, Mateer healthy, processing is going to be there.
Right.
Play calling, not going to have to, the playbook's going to be wide open. We're going to end up running our wide zone. We're going to be a really good offense. I'm banking on top 20 with Mateer around that top 5.
Yeah. No, I hope you're right. I hope come mid-October, I hope I'm sitting here being like, dude, I apologize. I had a lot of doubts for this team. I was a critic in Mateer. Maybe it was more his hand than anything else, causing other issues. I hope that's me in October, late October, early November, just giving him all his flowers. I was wrong. You were right. I hope that's our conversation.
Well, I mean, what you're seeing is valid, because I mean, he did have plays from 2024 Washington State that were eerily similar, and I could have brought those up. There's one from Oregon State. You remember that one? There's a play versus Oregon State where he drops back, and just like that Deion Burks in the LSU, guy's wide open. He's looking at it, but what it ends up doing is that he tucks it and he runs for like 30 yards and almost scores a touchdown. And that's where we were like, okay, you're not gonna be able to do that. You're gonna have to throw the ball. And I think in the LSU game, he knew he had to throw that ball, but he lacked the confidence with his hand to actually rip it and throw it. And so my banking on him just ripping the damn ball like he's done sporadically for the last 2 years, he just becomes consistent with it and then becomes I mean, because if he starts throwing the ball with confidence, Brad, he's every quarterback, every OC quarterback's dream.
Sure.
Like a dude that can throw a linebacker off of him, power through, run in between the tackles, break tackles, throw the ball 30 yards downfield, extend the play, make something happen, and then you add the processing on top of it. Dude, that's a Heisman winner. That's 35 plus touchdowns.
Yeah, we're a scary football team if he does all that. Agreed.
Very scary.
No argument there. Absolutely, yeah. So, I'm just And last year it was like offensive line had their struggles. Running game was kind of non-existent for some games. And his hand. So it was like the perfect storm for him to not have success for one reason or another from every game, right? So you need all those things to all improve. Oh, and not to mention tight end game was kind of non-existent too. Don't get me wrong, Kanik made some nice plays, but how often did we have what you talked about is 2 tight end sets, true blocking tight ends, the ability. We just didn't have that last year. So, oh dang, yeah, we knew that was going to happen. OU's first team out. Yeah, god dang, that Arkansas game would have been what got them in the tourney. Yeah. Hey, thank you for that update because I wasn't keeping track of it. I just kind of figured we weren't in. So, and you just, So no, the beauty of it is it's like we're sitting here at March 15th, so we have 6.5 months to figure it out. And hopefully they can get some things worked out, but made all the necessary changes. Is there any changes like you wish they would have done in the off season that they haven't? I mean, honestly, yeah.
No, I think they did.
Right. Other than getting a Cam Coleman or something in the room, which was unrealistic.
Is it though? Like, I mean, yeah, we guess we're all limited funds and everything, but
we are.
NIL dollars. I mean, I don't know. I don't want to sit here and be like, yeah, go spend millions of dollars on Cam Coleman and not know what the numbers actually look like. I want to overpay for Cam. Me overpay. Like if I'm looking at numbers and I'm like, oh yeah, I have $4 million to spend, but I'm not gonna just be like, yeah, just throw it on a receiver. It's kind of hard to. I think they did well. I think bring in the Terrell Harris and Livingstone is a really good 3-headed horse there. And then if you've got some veteran players at tight ends, at the tight end spot,
and Satania coming back. Satania coming back is just such a huge deal that we don't talk about enough. We talk about the portal guys coming in, but man, him coming back,
if he
giving us the punt returner / leading receiver,
yes,
he could have easily left because he had such a phenomenal year in the conference, and he could have left, and no one would have blamed him.
Yeah, someone could have went out and paid him big money.
Sure.
Too. I mean, OU probably had to, because with him though, can he replicate the explosive plays that he did last year?
Yeah.
The underneath throws, the mesh routes, the trail routes. Can he replicate that? Because he's not a guy that's going over the top on people.
No,
he's not
I hear you.
50 ball guy.
Well,
can he replicate that same? He almost got 1,000 yards, but he had like 6 plays that accounted for like half of that. So can he replicate it? That's where it's like as an OU squad, you're like Mateer playing better is going to elevate that chance to happen again.
Well, here's my thought. Let's just have 3 of those guys.
Yeah.
So there's your answer. If we have three of those guys, you can't defend us. Livingston, Trell, Satania, any given day, one of those guys is going to be a difference maker. And that's all you want. You just want one of them to step up each week and then all of them be consistent from week to week. And we may have that. And is there anybody playing with a bigger chip on their shoulder than Livingston, especially come second weekend in October?
No, I'm telling you, man, I'm really surprised they let that guy walk.
I love it.
I mean, it's just. I know that they're making a play for Cam Coleman and they're bringing Willie Brown, but you know, he's competitive, dude. And that you look at the receiving room, OU made a conscious choice to say we're going to have a very competitive when the ball is in the air receiving room. You look at some of these plays from last year where you have a guy that should be dominating on the line of scrimmage, dominating when the ball's in the air, give up on plays. It makes sense that they go, okay, we're not going to have that again. And, you know, Livingston versus Ohio State has some great, Ohio State, solid defense, solid corners, great recruiting pipeline there in the defensive back. And Livingston didn't care. He doesn't care who's on his hip pocket. I feel like he wants someone on this hip pocket and he wants to fight for the ball. It's just a mentality thing.
Yeah, I noticed.
Great receiving core that's going to be competitive when the ball's in the air and when they have the ball. And they're.
I noticed. I noticed him in that opener against Ohio State, and I noticed him again against Florida, which they ended up losing, and he got hurt. But he made a couple of big plays before he got hurt. The guy's just a gamer, and I'm excited to have him on campus. So it's going to be interesting. But what a fitting ending would it be to the game against Texas if if he scores the game-winning touchdown or something in the fourth quarter?
Oh, that'd be
would
great.
That not be perfect? Yeah. What's the question here? Harrison, Livingston, and Satania is it? Oh yeah, absolutely. Great core.
Here's a question. Spring practice, is that tomorrow?
No, it started last Monday.
Last week. Yeah, it was last Monday.
It started the 9th.
They had a couple practices, and I think they had a few days off, and then they come back. I remember seeing the schedule, but
Yep. No, they started the 9th, and the spring game's the 18th, and then they have 2 practices out after that. So it runs about 6 weeks-ish, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Still no power here. I've been without for 4 hours.
Stone Age, huh?
Yeah, you and I are partial. I know the crews are out there doing a great job getting everybody restored. So you and I are definitely biased, but man, we got some of the best crews in the country here in Oklahoma. So have to work in the elements too. Blowing 50 miles per hour wind, go out there and try to go out there and try to put a wooden pole in the ground and get it to set in 50 mile per hour winds. Ready, go.
Yeah.
No, it's not easy. So
no.
Yeah.
Well,
so
did we touch on everything?
I think so. I think so.
A detail? We're gonna end up having another debate about this in the summer. Well, we'll go even more in depth.
Sure. Yeah,
I'll have more plays and stuff like that.
Maybe summer, or maybe we can do it like late August. There's been a few practices, and maybe we start hearing some things. And let's do this again because good debate. You can't be on me about my concerns. I can't be on you about your optimism. So it is what it is. So yeah.
Stevie's got a question for you, Brad. Talk about Denny's decision to keep Porter and up NIL. Because remember you had said 80% you thought Porter was out. So you're coming from that perspective. Are you surprised they kept Porter, and why? And just kind of talk about is Denny just kind of. Is it because he's coming in, he's starting a role, and he hasn't really had time to really evaluate Porter himself, because if I'm firing somebody, I want to know I'm firing him because I think I need to fire him, not because of other people. And maybe he's coming in going, okay, I'm gonna give this guy one more year. That's kind of how my perspective is. It was just like I
Yeah.
want to see it with my eyes. I want to feel it in my gut that I need to let him go.
Yeah.
If it's not gonna work. And then with the NIL, maybe it's like, let's get him some more resources and give him another chance.
Yeah. And you know, none of us have the NIL numbers in front of us. You know, we don't know categorically what OU pays NIL wise amongst their sports, correct?
I think you can find some secondary sources to really
we might. Would we trust it?
But like,
we don't know. You know what I mean? We know they're giving it to football. We know they're giving it to Patty. You have to give it to your two bell cows, right? So but we don't know about the other sports. We don't know. We think they're giving it to the baseball program. We think they're giving it to, you know, women's basketball pretty much gave all their NIL to Chavez. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I always butcher her name, but they gave that all to her last year, where other programs are given 3 or 4, and that's why Jenny and them they have a hard time competing with the LSU's, the South Carolinas, the Connecticut's, is because we're not quite there yet with basketball, and I'm guessing the men's program is not quite getting fed the proper amount of NIL as well. And so Denny arrives on campus and he sees that because he's seen what they're giving to Underwood up in Illinois. So he has a frame of reference. You know, some of those Big Ten schools, I always wonder, you know, can the Big Ten schools give a little more than the SEC schools? There's definitely more championships in football in the Big Ten these days. Is that because of NIL? What is that? Is that money driven? We don't know. But Denny may see something and he's like, yeah, this is a problem. We need to fix it. It's not completely on Porter. I just know it comes down to win and losses. And I felt like when OU made the move to the SEC, we know football is going to be harder. We knew softball was going to be harder. Baseball was going to be harder, but we thought basketball would be easier because the Big 12 was rolling in basketball, men's basketball at the time. And it hasn't appeared that way since he moved over. So that was part of my feelings on him being out, is they haven't succeeded in what we thought was going to be a slightly inferior conference moving over from the Big 12. But there may be more in play here that we don't know about. What's his comment here?
Porter needs to keep his players and that cost and must go get a big man from the portal.
Yeah, just several big men. A big man, a shooting guard, a point guard, whatever it may be. But yeah, Denny had his reasons. I think that was really quick of Denny to make that decision the day after, the morning after, the day of. I don't know what it was, but to say Porter's staying another year, I think that immediately, believe it or not, I think that immediately pulls some pressure off of Porter and puts it immediately on Denny by doing that. You know, you're the AD now. Pressure's on you to make the proper hirings, firings, whatever it may be. So you said he's staying. You have good reason for that. So it's up to you and Porter to make it happen now. So he's all in for this next year, and we'll see how it works out. Hope it works out.
Yeah.
You know, we're big Porter fans. It's not that. It's just at the end of the day, you can't be bottom feeders, so to speak, in the SEC. Just scratching to try to get in the tournament, right? That's not OU basketball.
No. Now you should be invited to the tournament on a consistent basis. You miss one because you're a young team. You miss one because you had some injuries. You miss one because a year where you had misevaluated some players, because it does churn so much faster at basketball. but to be completely out of it over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And you start hot, you start fast, and then you get to conference play and you just sort of fall apart. I get what I get what Roger Denny's doing. I think he's coming in and he's gonna like, hey, I want to see it with myself.
Yep.
What are your needs? Let me help
Yep.
you.
Kind
Let
of a
me
clean
help
slate,
you.
kind of thing. Yep.
Sure. But let me help you. Tell me what you need. And then that way you can have a relationship with the guy and then like understand what he's going through, understand what his needs are. Do what you can, set him up for success. You need X dollars NIL. You're looking for this. I need a scouting department. I need another analyst. I need this. Let's
Right.
go and whatever. Let's get him that, because really, honestly, when you go and hire a coach, he's most likely going to want all those things anyways.
Sure.
So whatever Porter is asking for, you need to give it to him, because the new guy's going to ask for that same thing. So you might as well try to do that. And
Yep.
then when you feel and you see, hey, I did all these things, you didn't produce, I'm going to have to let you go. Or we did those things and we have success, let's keep it rolling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and trying to pull a great coach in to coach OU basketball is totally different than OU football.
Mhm.
It just is. That's
Yeah.
the nature of it, right? You can't go pull a Dan Hurley from Connecticut into OU to coach here, right? That's not going to happen. Or whoever pivoted, and he's like, yeah, man, that was a good game. But how about Bam Adebayo, who played for Kentucky under Calipari? How about Bam getting 83 points? And then he's like, yeah, there's other guys in the NBA. I've had 5 that scored over 50. He's just constantly trying to give it up to himself, constantly recruiting. Hey, I want the elite guys. You know, it drives me crazy. Calipari's just he was complimenting Porter, so from that part I was happy. But it was funny too. And they showed the 2 Sports Center announcers, and they're like, what was that? They asked him about this, and he starts talking about SGA, Bam Adebayo, go through the list of all the former Kentucky players that I've ever recruited. It was so weird, dude. He drives me crazy. Anyway, you can't find too many of the, oh God, I forgot his name again. The one that went out to Las Vegas. Help me out here.
Oh, Kruger.
Thank you. Kruger, those are hard to find too. So anyway, I hope the best for Porter. I hope tomorrow's that year. I mean, next year's that year where he finally makes that big leap and they give him the funds he needs. He finds, we had Jeremiah Fears last year, the one and done guy. He made that
solid. Great.
He made OU good. They made it to the tournament, ironically, right? So you find a couple more guys like that. Give them the proper NIL. The fans will show up if they win football games. You can't ever blame this on the fans and the lack of, and the Lloyd Noble. Look at Jenny.
Yeah.
They show up because they're winning.
Yes.
Go win.
Yes.
Go win. People show up. That's just how it is. And you don't even need a new arena for that. So anyway, sorry, I'm getting on soapboxes now.
No, you're good. No. Well, I think we had a good, we're an hour, almost hour 25 in. So
yeah.
No, it was a good debate. We'll have round 2 in the summer. Getting ready.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, everybody had to see my double chin this week. I'm in a recliner, not in my normal pod space. I hate this view, man. It's like I'm really not this big. I promise. So anyway, yeah.
Baseball one. Stevie said baseball one.
Heck yeah. Man,
dude,
I love it. Yeah, and I love I love our viewers and our listeners that are always keeping us in tune during the show because we're not paying attention. It's always appreciated. Yeah, they're playing good.
My God, dude, that they have a harder schedule than our football team.
Yeah,
they're starting hot. I mean, you could not have asked for a better start. Like they're gonna get in some tough stuff here real quick. But dang, you could not have asked for a better season. Skip Johnson's crew. So, whew.
Yeah.
We gotta keep an eye on OU baseball. I mean, they've they've got themselves a
that's
team, man.
God, that's such a loaded conference, man.
It is.
You never get a weekend off. Never get a weekend off. I'm telling you, so good. Yeah. So we want to wrap things up. I got about 10% more of battery life, so I better.
Oh, dang. Okay.
Before it just dies, we better wrap things up here. So, yeah. No, thanks everybody for joining us today for sure.
Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off. Yep. Well, always a lot of fun. May take the week off next week, or may record something earlier in the week and throw it out next Sunday. So, thanks everybody for joining us, and we will catch you next time. Boomer.
That's my standard. That's my standard. My champion standard. Champion standard. Pull away the answers. Yeah, the answers. The champion standard. Champion standard. Yeah. I be in the field, ready, set the goal. 7 rings, we way too cold. Hang my jersey up, it's greatness overload. We show up every time, rain, sleep, hail, snow. Young and on, boom with jets, know we straight shooters. Topics, we don't put no punches, we give it right to you. Champion standard, can't label us no losers. Soon as you touch down, we show you how we do it, yeah. Life always feel better when you living as a champ. Cause my standard that I